Hello everybody, welcome back to Weekly Wildlife Wisdom. So far I've been your host, Zero Yeti, and this week we have the Antarctica special. Go ahead and starting off the week with the emperor penguin, which is the largest of all living penguin species and is endemic to the Antarctica continent. Males and females are similar in both plumage and size, reaching upwards of 3 feet in height and weights of between 50 and 100 pounds. The feathers of the head and back are black and sharply delineated from the white belly and pale yellow breast, as well as the yellow ear patches. Like all penguins, it is flightless with a streamlined body and wings that have been transformed into flippers for better aquatic maneuverability. The emperor penguin's diet consists primarily of fish, crustaceans, and cephalopods, and while hunting, the species can remain submerged for around 20 minutes, diving to depths upwards of 3,000 feet. It has several adaptations to facilitate this, including unusually structured hemoglobin, which allows it to function at low oxygen levels, solid bones to reduce barotrauma, and the ability to reduce its metabolism and shut down non-essential organ functions. Uh, the emperor penguins themselves are hunted by giant petrels, southern polar squaws, killer whales, and leopard seals. These penguins are social animals, nesting and traveling in colonies, often coordinating their dives and surfacing when hunting for food. Individuals may be active day or night, traveling throughout most of the year between the breeding colonies and the ocean foraging areas. They are the only penguin species that breeds during the Antarctic winter, often trekking 30 to 75 miles over ice to breeding colonies that can contain up to several thousand individuals. Courtship begins in March or April, with males and females performing a series of mirrored displays to determine partner suitability. Contrary to popular belief, emperor penguins do not mate for life, but they are serially monogamous, having only one mate each year. After mating, the female lays a single egg, which is incubated for just over 2 months by the male while the female returns to the sea to feed. Parents subsequently take turns foraging at sea and caring for their chick in the colony. About 45 to 50 days after hatching, the chicks form a creche, huddling together for warmth protection, and they will remain together until they molt and leave the colony. Under ideal conditions, an emperor penguin may live upward of 50 years. Next up is the southern elephant seal, which is one of the two species of elephant seals, which, along with the northern elephant seal, make up the genus Mirounga. As their name suggests, they are primarily distributed throughout the Southern Ocean, with resting and breeding areas and colonies common occurrence along the coast of Antarctica, southern Australia, Argentina, Chile, New Zealand, and various other islands throughout the lower southern hemisphere. Elephant seals spend up to 80% of their lives in the ocean, and they can hold their breath for more than 100 minutes, which is longer than any other non-cetacean mammal. This allows them to reach depths upwards of 7,800 feet, and on these dives, they typically feed upon skates, rays, squid, octopuses, eels, small sharks, and other fish. Uh, Elephant seals themselves are preyed upon by killer whales, leopard seals, sea lions, great white sharks, and southern sleeper sharks, albeit rarely, with large bulls reaching typical sizes upwards of 19 feet in length and 8,800 pounds in weight. They are the largest member of the clade Pinnipeda and the order Carnivora, as well as the largest extant marine mammal that is not a cetacean. Southern elephant seals also display the greatest sexual dimorphism of any mammal in terms of mass-body ratio, with males typically 5 to 6 times heavier than females. Females measure at just 8 to 10 feet in length and 900 to 1900 pounds. The eyes are large and black to allow greater visibility underwater, and their body is covered in blubber, which helps keep them warm and reduce drag while they are swimming. Additionally, they sport a helpful feature known as a countercurrent heat exchanger to help conserve energy and prevent body heat loss. While it may seem like the giants are unfit for locomotion on land, elephant seals are capable of propelling themselves upwards of 5 miles an hour in short bursts over land. Dominant males arrive early at potential breeding sites in spring and fight for dominance by showing their noses, making loud vocalizations, and fighting each other by raising themselves up and ramming into one another. When the females arrive, The dominant males have already selected their territory on the beaches. Females cluster in groups called harems, which consist of up to 50 females surrounding one alpha and one beta male. After an 11th-month gestation period, mothers typically give birth to a single pup, which they will nurse for around 28 days. Southern elephant seals reach sexual maturity around 5 to 6 years of age and may live upwards of 20 years under ideal conditions. Next up is Factutopus macropterus, which is a species of crocodile icefish native to the Antarctic continental shelf, typically along the coast of the southern continent, as well as in and around the South Shetland Islands at depths of between 16 and 2,100 feet. This demersal species has around 15 narrow, dark bars and is light, adorning its body, and is lighter in the center on its grayish-green body and the dark stripes on its cheeks, but has a widest ventral area. It grows to a maximum length of just over 13 inches, and as bottom-dwelling ambush predators, they often sit and wait for prey such as small fish, echinoderms, and especially crustaceans that swim by before lunging out and snapping them up with their long, teeth-filled jaws. Macropterus is itself preyed upon by larger fish, seabirds such as penguins, and marine mammals, with the Weddell seal being its primary predator. To deter would-be predators, the fish enters a defensive posture by opening its mouth wide, erecting its dorsal fin, holding out its flared pectoral fins at right angles towards the body, and bending the body into a semicircle in an attempt to make itself as hard to grab as possible. Like all icefish, its blood is colorless because it lacks hemoglobin, the oxygen-binding protein found in most vertebrate blood. Crocodile icefish are the only known vertebrates to lack hemoglobin as adults, and instead of being carried by the cells, the oxygen is dissolved in the plasma and transported throughout the body without being bound. Although they do not manufacture hemoglobin, remnants of hemoglobin genes can still be found within their genome. These fish can live without hemoglobin due to a combination of oxygen-rich cold water in which they live and several unique adaptations such as larger blood vessels, incredibly efficient hearts, low metabolic demands, and possessing up to 4 times as much blood in their body as a traditional fish of their size. Reproduction involves the male clearing an area of debris to establish a nest on which the female will deposit several thousand eggs. She will proceed to guard and care for these eggs until hatching. Factutopus macropterus become reproductively mature around 3 to 4 years of age and may live up to 15 years under ideal conditions. Next up is the southern giant petrel. Also known as the Antarctic giant petrel, the giant fulmar, the stinker, or the stinkpot, is a large seabird native to the islands throughout the southern oceans as well as Chile, Argentina, Namibia, South Africa, southern Australia, New Zealand, and Antarctica. The southern giant petrel typically sports a 34 to 39-inch wingspan, and the body mass can vary wildly depending on the specific population, from between 5 and 12 pounds, with males being slightly larger than females. Giant petrels have strong grayish-brown legs that allow them to move in and around on land and on water quite efficiently. While in flight, this species has a somewhat hunchback appearance. They have a very large yellow bill with a green tip, and there are 2 distinct morphs. Excuse me. The dark, which resembles a northern giant petrel, with a more distinctive light morph. On the dark morph, the upper breast, the head and neck are light, with the remainder of its plumage being molten brown. The leading edge of its wings is lighter, as is the base of the inner underside primaries. Light morph is rare and very distinct, with only slight black speckles on an otherwise all-white body. They typically feed upon fish, krill, squid, and carrion, though are quite formidable predators that are known to regularly hunt young seals, seal lions, and especially other birds such as gannets, albatross, and penguins. Southern giant petrels are themselves preyed upon by sharks and marine mammals, and their nests are especially targeted by rodents. Its breeding season begins in October, with nesting colonies typically located on soft, barren, or grassy terrain. Each pair will create a nest out of a mound of grass, moss, and stones with a depression in the center, on which the female will deposit a single egg. This single egg is incubated in turns by both of its parents for a period around 55 to 66 days, and fledging occurs after around 14 weeks. Southern giant petrels reach sexual maturity at 5 to 7 years of age and may live upwards of 50 years. Next up is the leopard seal, also known as sea leopard. It is the second largest species of pinniped native to Antarctica, with its closest relatives being the Ross seal, the crab-eater seal, and the Weddell seal. Together they form the tribe of Lobodontidini seals. The leopard seals has a distinctive long and muscular body shape when compared to other pinnipeds, but perhaps it's best known for its reptilian-like head and massive jaws, which are enormous for its body size, and which allow it to be one of the top predators of its environment. The front teeth are sharp like those of other carnivores, but their molars lock together in a way that allows them to sieve krill from the water in a manner similar to that of the crab-eater seal. The coat is countershaded with a silver base and a distinctive spotted leopard coloration pattern on the dorsal part, with a paler white to light gray color ventrally. Females are slightly larger than males, with an overall length of adults measuring between 7.5 to 11.5 feet and weighing around 450 to 1,300 pounds. Leopard seals feed on a wide variety of creatures throughout their lives, with young seals eating mostly krill, squid, and fish. As adults, they switch to more substantial prey in the form of seabirds, including penguins, petrels, gulls, and albatrosses, as well as marine mammals in the form of adult Weddell, crab-eater, and Ross seals, and young fur seals and baby southern elephant seals. The only natural predator of the leopard seal is the killer whale. Mating occurs in the summer from December to January, and in preparation for the pups, females will dig a circular hole in the ice as a den. Mothers typically give birth to one pup at a time, which usually stays with their mother for a month before they are weaned off and left to fend for themselves. Males reach sexual maturity later than females at around 6 to 7 years of age, compared to around females at 3 to 7 years. Under ideal conditions, leopard seals can live up to 26 years. Next up is the Antarctic midge, which is a species of flightless midge endemic to the continent of Antarctica. It is the only insect known to survive year-round in Antarctica, and at 2 to 6 millimeters, or about 0.079 to 0.24 inches long, it is the largest purely terrestrial animal native to the Antarctic continent. The flightlessness of the Antarctic midge may be an adaptation to prevent wind from blowing it to inhospitable areas. They spend the vast majority of their 2-year lives as slow-moving larvae which resemble tiny dark worms. They typically live underground, usually in and around patches of moss, lichens, terrestrial algae, or even penguin guano, which they use as their primary food source. For about 8 months of the year, larvae are actually frozen solid, only thawing out to feed during the warmest summer months. The adults emerge in the spring and summer and live 10 to 14 days. Females mate within the first 48 hours of emerging and spend the rest of their short lives creating a nest and carefully depositing her eggs, even secreting a specialized jelly on the eggs, which acts as a blanket of antifreeze, stops them from dehydrating, and acts as a food source for the young once they hatch. Excuse me. The Antarctic midge has the smallest insect genome currently known, with only 99 million base pairs of nucleotides, or about 13,500 genes. And our extinct animal of the week is Cryolophosaurus, which is a genus of large theropod dinosaur known from only a single species, which is Cryolophosaurus eleonti, which lived throughout Antarctica during the early Jurassic period from around 194 to 188 million years ago. First remains, which consist of a partial skull and a fairly complete postcranial skeleton, were originally uncovered and collected by Dr. William Hammer and his team during the 1990 to 1991 austral summer on Mount Kirkpatrick on the Beardmore Glacier region of the Transantarctic Mountains. Measuring around 21 feet long and weighing upwards of 1,000 pounds, Cryolophosaurus is not only the largest carnivorous dinosaur known from the southernmost continent, but is also the largest early Jurassic theropod so far discovered. Additionally, Cryolophosaurus famously sports a peculiar nasal crest that runs just over the eyes. Here it rises up perpendicular to the skull and fans out. It is thin, highly furrowed, giving it a unique pompadour appearance, which earned the dinosaur the nickname Elvisaurus. All known specimens of Cryolophosaurus have been recovered from the Hansen Formation, which is one of only 2 major fossil-bearing rock formations found on the continent of Antarctica. In the early Jurassic, This region would have consisted of a volcanic mountain range situated along the coast of Gondwana and would have been covered by coniferous temperate rainforests. Grylophosaurus would have shared this environment with and preyed upon a plethora of other species such as the dimorphodontid pterosaurs, cynodonts, and other synapsids, basal ornithischian dinosaurs, coelophysidae theropod dinosaurs, and various sauropodomorph dinosaurs, including the quite large Glacialsaurus. Cryolophosaurus is thought to have gone extinct thanks to shifting climate and the changing ecosystems resulting from increased volcanic activity in and around the region as Gondwana began to split apart. As always, take care to my guys, gals, and non-binary pals.